up in everyone's headphones, Charles.
I will turn it up in every individual's headphones.
Not just me.
Not just you, not just me either. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Friends Talking Fantasy Podcast. My name is Charles. With me, as always, is Dylan, and someone new to the crew, but not new to us, the one, the only, Derek.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
I can't answer back.
It's not how podcasting
It's
works.
like Dora the Explorer, though. You tell them and,
Oh.
You got to edit in a pause in post, though.
That's an interesting strategy.
Charles, you got so excited to introduce Derek. I think you missed out on throwing it my way so I could say hi.
I was going to throw it your way. We were just already talking about there was a third person. I couldn't wait to express my excitement to have Derek on the team. We'll explain more about who Derek is in just a moment, but you can go ahead and do your thing, Dylan. Let's lead our little disclaimer for the beginning of the show.
All right. Well, all credit goes to Patrick Rothfuss for his foreword in The Slow Regard of Silent Things, because I heavily adopted this from that, and I'll just get going. You might not want to listen to this episode. I know that's not the sort of thing a host of a podcast is supposed to say. Marketing people aren't going to like this. Charles is going to have a fit. But I'd rather be honest with you right out of the gate. First, if you haven't listened to our other episodes, you don't want to start here. We have released buddy read book discussions about The Kingkiller Chronicle, Mistborn, and The Lord of the Rings. We also have broader discussions on things like our favorite characters in fantasy and episodes of Friends Pitching Fantasy, where we pitch books to each other to determine our next buddy reads. If you're curious to try our podcast, I recommend you start with one of those. They're much better introductions to our show. This episode deals with us recounting our stories from a trip we took to New Zealand to see the sites featured in the Lord of the Rings films. Without the context of already knowing and hopefully caring about us from previous episodes, you're probably going to feel pretty bored. Second, even if you have listened to our other episodes, I think it's only fair to warn you that this is a bit of a strange format. It doesn't do a lot of the things a classic episode from a fantasy podcast is supposed to do. And if you're looking for a continuation of our Lord of the Rings buddy read, you're not going to find it here. On the other hand, if you'd like to learn more about us and our experience together on an awesome trip that included sights from Lord of the Rings, this episode has a lot to offer. If you love jokes, banter, and nonsense from lifelong friends, if you're curious about the whole story behind things we occasionally mention, like Charles almost dying when we climbed Mount Doom, if you want to be introduced to Derek, the mysterious third member of our fellowship, which we call the M Crew, well then this episode might be for you.
That was a beautiful intro to start a beautiful podcast. For those of you that don't know, that was Patrick Rothfuss's foreword in his short story. Not his novella.
The Slow Regard of Silent Things, which
yes.
I basically just threw in a few words. So if it sounded like it was very good prose, then you know all that came from Patrick Rothfuss.
Excellent. So I also, apologies to people watching this on YouTube, I started recording the Zoom like halfway through that. So we'll just have to start the Zoom recording when we start the slideshow. But for those of you listening to us on audio form, like Dylan mentioned, we're going to be talking about our trip to New Zealand that we took many years ago. And we're going to be going through a bunch of photos and video that we took on that trip. And if you wanted to see those photos, be sure to check out the Zoom recording that we've done that we'll probably post onto YouTube.
Yeah, we need to get those YouTube views up.
Yeah, our YouTube channel is pretty sad, so just anything.
Now you have something to look at.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Eric.
And now they'll have everything to see. So yes, that amazing quip was from the third member of the M Crew is Derek, another person that we've known since the beginning of time, basically, for us anyway. And we're super excited to have him on the show. Derek, thank you for being here.
I'm excited to be here as well, and I can't wait. I haven't looked at these pictures in a long time myself, so
Me
I'm
neither.
excited to. Yeah, I'm excited to go through them all.
Excellent. So, what I kind of wanted to start with before we really got into the pictures is kind of how we decided to go and what kind of was the driving force for us going from like talking about it to legitimately flying halfway across the world from we were in New York at the time to do a 10-day adventure in New Zealand. I think do we remember? I don't have in front of me what year was this. Does anyone remember? Was it like
If I could check my phone, I would have the dates. Could you
I
go?
bet it's 2016.
it
I bet
sounds
it. Yeah,
that
you could
sounds
right
right.
click the picture, go to details.
Oh, okay. I'll maybe do that later. But let's just say it was 2016. That sounds accurate. Um, so for me, I was working in Manhattan at the time, and I was like 2 years into this job. I was working in advertising, just commuting into the heart of Manhattan. It was like 3 hours of commuting every day, plus working a really long work day in a corporate office, 9 to 5 job. And I was just feeling kind of burnt out, and I was wanting to do something, you know, different, exciting. Like I hadn't been out of the country that much, so I was really looking to plan some sort of big adventure. And I just started planning this trip as just something for me to do by myself. I was kind of like fantasy planning it, which is like, okay, well, if I went to New Zealand and if I wanted to see, because I was and at the time a huge, Lord of the Rings movie fan, so I was like, I can go and I can see all these fun different movie locations, and I started researching them, like where they were, and I started like pricing it out. And I think it was when we were meeting at like this would have been like Sip Tea Lounge, right? Where do you guys remember the conversation starting about this trip?
I thought it was in your house.
My
Yeah, I
house?
feel like you just brought it up just casually, and we were like,
Yeah,
"Oh yeah, that's cool," and it kind of built into, "Oh wait, we could actually do this."
Yeah, right.
totally.
Because I knew I was going to do it. It was just starting to like the numbers were starting to add up, and I never wanted to like. I remember being careful not to like straight up feel like pressuring you guys into coming on this likely expensive trip with me. Just like the airfare alone to get like one of the furthest places you could fly to, maybe besides going around the whole planet, was which is basically what we did. So I was hesitant to be like, hey, you guys want to come on a around the
Right.
world 10-day long trip with me to do what I want to do, which is basically go to all these Lord of the Rings places, because Dylan hadn't even seen the movies at the time, right?
I'd seen the first two, but I hadn't seen the third one, and I'm just reading the Lord of the Rings books for the first time now as we're releasing these buddy read episodes. So I was not a huge Lord of the Rings fan, though I liked fantasy and whatnot.
Right. So yeah, I think it was just. I guess it was. We would meet all the time. This was back in the good old days when we were all living super close to each other, and we were
Yeah.
hanging out on the regular in person, and we would meet almost weekly at somewhere. But this was kind of idea. I was like putting the itinerary together, and I was like, hey guys, check this out. This trip I'm thinking about taking, and I remember us being at the tea lounge though, sitting around the table and being like, "Yeah, let's do this." You guys don't remember that?
Is
There were
that?
multiple conversations. Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe that was the first time you brought out the official binder,
Oh yeah,
and we were
that
flipping
sounds right.
through it there.
I still have that binder in like a box in my parents' house somewhere, but
I mean, that was like the map to Mount Doom. It was
yeah.
if you didn't put in all that work, the trip would have never worked.
Oh yeah. Well, Charles has a reputation around these parts for being the behind the scenes guy, and he takes care of all these logistics things, and he
What was the
was
guy's
great in
name
that
in
role.
Mistborn, Dylan? I hate to put you on the spot, but the guy,
Dachshund?
yeah, it's Dachshund. So
Yeah. I'm more the I'm more the Kelsier.
yeah,
You're more
okay.
the Dachshund.
I'm like a Dachshund Kelsier hybrid,
Yeah, okay.
but
Okay,
it's
but I I do want to say it's funny Derek brings up that it was kind of casual the way you brought it up, and getting to hear you talk about how you were like, yeah, I didn't want to pressure you, because I remember very similarly where you kind of said it was a thing you were going to do,
Yes.
and you were like, I'd love to have you guys along. And I remember that made it feel like I wanted to go definitely even more than if you were like, guys, like you need to come on this New Zealand trip with me, because you were just like, hey man, I'm gonna go travel to New Zealand and see this awesome stuff. And having a pre-planned trip, like that's the worst part, is having to do the planning. So
Right.
I was
Well,
all in.
my whole thing was it was such an one. It was ambitious because I wanted to go from Auckland to Queenstown, right?
Yeah.
Queensland. So doing the whole drive in a very short amount of time, less than 2 weeks. And that's not something I would have ever asked anyone to do. And not only that, but it wasn't just to be like, oh, we can do whatever we want. It's like, no, we're seeing these sites. And they're like all Lord of the Rings based. Like, I would never invite anyone to that. But I was like, you know what? It would be a cool thing to do, and I have it planned, and I'm open to finagling in more stuff so that, like, have your input involved in it so we can do more than just like all Lord of the Rings all the time. And that was kind of the inception of this trip. It came together pretty quickly after that. I remember we would meet to go over the plan and like add ideas and think over the logistics, because it was ambitious. We were in like a different town every day pretty much for 10 days. And it was
Yeah.
hours of driving. We must have spent
And I
like 20
remember
hours in the car at least.
at the rent-a-car place, I remember when they said, "Oh, you're driving from north to south. How long are you here?" And we said 10 days. That was surprising to them. We moved quickly. We got a
Oh
lot
yeah.
done in a short amount of
Yes, we
time.
got a lot done. I mean, that binder was no joke. That was another thing I was nervous about because I became the dachshund of the crew. So I did not want to take us halfway across the world to a foreign country and then get lost, or this thing doesn't actually exist, or it was like a scam or something. It's like, I don't know if this tour group still exists, and I don't want to find out when we're there. It's like, what are we gonna do? So I was kind of nervous about the whole thing, but planning a trip can be half the fun of it sometimes, and like putting it all together. And it was we had to meet a couple times to iron
For
out the
sure.
details, and I think it was mostly just like, how ambitious do we want to be and how much time do we want to give ourselves. And we've known each other for so long, there was nothing that was kind of left unsaid about like, hey, like, I think we should maybe do this or relax on doing this and things like that. So I remember the planning part was just a lot of fun in itself.
Yeah, it was. I had a a good time getting to play a role in the planning. Be like, hey, we could try doing this, while still knowing Charles was going to work out. Hey, well, if we do this, then that's this many miles away from here, and we have to cut out this and
Oh
do
yeah, I
that.
mean, I was
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to Google Maps. I had the whole thing on Google Maps. I was like, dude, that will take 2.5 hours, and then the trip is 3 hours, and then we have to add in just an hour of wasted time. And it's like, we can either do this or that. So we ended up putting, and I will say, from our itinerary, we did 90% of what was in the itinerary, and the only things we didn't do were just like, we were so exhausted that we just chose not to do it, but we could have. If it's like, we could drive another 2 hours to see that thing, but let's just hang out here instead. And we all kind of agreed. I don't think there were any broken hearts. I do remember having one mini debate, but we can get into that when it
I
comes up on the
I
trip.
I
remember a
think I
debate. I
remember it
don't
as
remember what it
well.
was about.
I do
Oh,
remember.
Charles, I also want to say, while we're still relatively toward the top of the episode, this will
Yeah.
probably be spread out over multiple episodes. We don't know how many.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
just sitting
Hmm.
down and having this conversation and seeing how long it goes, and we're releasing these as bonus episodes.
Right.
So some of these things, like we know we want to get to talking about climbing Mount Doom. That's probably the best story out of this whole thing. I don't know. I know I teased that at the top. I don't know if we'll get to that this episode, because we'll probably just cut up whatever this conversation ends up being into, let's say, a 50 something minute
Right.
hour
We're recording it in one sitting, but
segments.
we're going to cap the length of the
Yeah.
episodes. And however many episodes it is how many it is. We're not sure at this point, but just be on the lookout for that. So thank you for that, Dylan. Let's not waste any more time. Let's just get right into it. So we're talking about day 0. So what we're the flight into New Zealand. this was an interesting trip. How many hours was it, man? It was so long. There's like a 16-hour time
Yeah, it was
difference,
16
and
hours.
I think New Zealand is 16 hours ahead, and then the flight itself is like first we had to fly to
16 hours.
California, and then we had to fly like 14, 16 hours from California to New Zealand. So we spent a good 30 hours plus of traveling.
Yeah.
That was the first test, basically.
I remember that I remember two things from this day zero. One, time lost any meaning. There was just between all the time zone changes and all the time we're spending in the airport and airplanes and all this stuff. I'd look at my phone to see what time it was, and I'd just be like, that doesn't mean anything. That's not going to mean anything soon. So I remember that. I also remember that we went to In-N-Out, right?
Yeah.
We
had like a 9-hour layover in LAX, and we were like,
Yeah.
I'd never been to California before, and I'd never had In-N-Out burger before. Were you guys on the same plane? I mean, same. Same
we
boat?
were on the same
definitely on the
plane.
same plane,
Yeah,
Charles.
the same boat.
And the boat. We were all on the same
Yeah.
boat too.
I can't guarantee this, but I feel like I was the one who suggested In-N-Out because I'd been there before and had In-N-Out, and it's kind of if you're talking about quick things to do while you're in California for the first time on a layover where you have 9 hours, but nothing where you could actually get an event in, then yeah, In-N-Out. We actually left the airport and had to go through security again so we could get
It took like 3.5 hours to go to In-N-Out, and then
but
we
still
walked
had
part
like
of the way.
4 or 6 hours of just sitting in the airport anyway, so it was totally worth it.
Definitely.
I feel like I remember the inner planner in me being like, it's risky, but we have so much time. We gotta do something, So
Yeah.
I was on board with it. It's so close to the airport too. The one we went to was like just right outside the terminal or whatever. So, and that was my first In-N-Out. Very good. So
Yeah, what did you think of it, Charles?
I liked it. I've had it a lot since then. I think it's good.
Mhm.
I enjoy it. I like the simplicity of the menu, but this day and age, the burgers are good. The fries, I can do without.
And Derek, what was your experience with it?
I have to say, I don't remember the fries, but the burger
Exactly.
was solid. Yeah, I think I got a shake.
Yeah, the milkshakes. Yeah.
I like that they had the secret menu. You can get those Cajun fries. I think
Yeah.
if you know the secret
It
codes.
was animal fries, not Cajun.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they put like onions and the animal sauce or animal style, I guess, and they put like the burger sauce and the onions on the fries. Yeah, that was good, man. That was a fun start to the trip. Testament to us that we even survived just 30 hours in that close of proximity. I remember getting on the airplane like, oh, these international flights, it's like 14 hours. It has to be like a bigger airplane. No, the seats were the exact same size. I remember seeing the seats and being so disappointed. Like, oh my God, it's the exact same size as every other airplane.
They just had triple the amount of seats.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. And those who have seen our Twitter or Insta at this point may have come across that picture where Charles looks like Bigfoot that I'm sure will come around again. And they'll probably see from that Charles, pretty tall dude, long legs. You don't stride like Bigfoot unless you got long legs. So you'll also see a picture where I look like a hobbit when we're all standing outside Mount Doom. And
it was not fun.
Yeah, Charles could not have been easy over there.
I mean, I just remember watching a lot of movies and sleeping, and they had the food, the airplane food. As much as people rag on airplane food, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
And that brought us to New Zealand. So, anything more about the journey to New Zealand before I get these photos going?
Nothing other than that. Dylan could have caught up with the Lord of the Rings movies on the flight.
No, well, I did.
Did they show them? I remember.
No, they didn't show them, but we watched them like right beforehand because I was like, you guys,
we
used your Blu-rays.
No, but I meant literally on the plane.
Yeah.
You could have watched the extended editions, all three of them.
Oh yeah,
easily.
You could have marathoned them all.
Right.
And that's probably something we should have mentioned in our reasons for going or whatever, is that before we went, the three of us got together, and because I hadn't watched all the movies yet, and I wasn't going to just start with the third one, we got together and did a re-watch for most of them, and
It's like
a
we're gonna
watch
be
for the
there,
first
we're gonna
time
be
for
there, we're
me.
gonna be
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
And yeah, I remember watching and like seeing Moria and being like, oh, that like I'd really like to actually go there.
Yeah.
And we did.
We did, man, and
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna get into. Can everyone see the pictures okay on the second
Yeah.
monitor?
Yep.
So let's get right into it, man. So we've traveled for 30 something hours, and now it is January 11th of 2016,
16.
circa
Yeah.
2016, and we land in Auckland, right? So now we are in a time zone 16 hours ahead of New York, which is where we left originally. And we made it was like, look, we have two options here where it's like, do we just try and rest or just power through? And we made the collective efforts. Like, we basically slept on that flight as much as you can sleep on a plane.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, okay, well, that 14 hours of kind of sleeping, let's just power through the whole day and just try and
It
get
was
through
early morning when we got
We
there.
landed at 6 a.m. in Auckland.
Mhm.
It was crazy. So it's like, let's just power through that whole day. So we got the rental car, and I remember Derek was the first one to drive. He must have drawn the short straw or something.
Yeah.
But I still think about that, and I'm like, props to Derek for getting behind
For
the
sure.
wheel. That was the hardest driving, I think, because it's the other side of the road, all these roundabouts, and the cars, the steering wheel's on the other side.
It was
And
weird.
Auckland is not like a small city, too. There was some traffic, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
we
No,
were
it's
like
one of the biggest
delirious.
cities in the
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were all traveling for 30 hours. We all felt bad. So no,
Yeah.
that was great. So we drove to the ferry to go to, and disclaimer right away, we're gonna say all these New Zealand, places, and we're gonna butcher them horribly. We're sorry. But we love New Zealand as a
try.
country, and we're trying our best here, and this all comes from love. But Waiheke Island, we took a ferry. I'm not even going to try and say the name of it. Matiatia Wharf Ferry to Waiheke Island, and that's where these pictures are from. So right away, we were blessed with good weather.
Yeah, what a beautiful day.
Oh, this is a funny video, you guys. So I took
Who's
this
that
from
handsome guy?
yeah. Watch
In the
these,
hat?
watch the reactions we get from these handsome men.
Oh, hey.
You guys were like in sync there. They were like, "What's he
Well, we
filming?
just
Is he
realized you were
filming us?"
filming us, you creep.
Yeah,
So,
Derek
yeah.
and I look delirious. With our shades on. Derek looks like he just woke up.
I probably
He
did.
probably
I bet we
never
were
slept,
sleeping,
dude.
yeah.
Honestly,
And we were sleeping on the ferry.
yeah, no, we were exhausted this whole day. But kudos
And
to
not
us.
to interrupt, but I found my pictures on my old computer. My first picture taken was January 11th, 2016 at 12:35 p.m. And that was the first picture of the trip. So we
Wow.
were ready to go early afternoon.
Right, and we
Yeah.
landed at 6 a.m. and we
Yeah.
took the ferry at either 7 or 8 a.m., whichever one. I don't remember, but they went every hour. So that was just Auckland from the ferry. It's a
I
beautiful
think
city.
I took this one.
You may have. I honestly have no idea who took what at this point. It was a lot of work, but
So beautiful.
man, the setting here, like every single like wide shot. I think this is Derek took a lot of panorama shots.
Good job, Derek.
Yeah,
I know, I'm a good photographer.
there's some good ones, but yeah, man, we just it was so funny to be like at the beach, but like also having been in an airport for 30 hours, and you're just like, yeah, it's really nice, but I don't really want to like sit in the sand right now. I'm in like my
Yeah.
airport clothes, sneakers, and everything. We hadn't checked into our hotel yet. It was too early to check in.
Charles, I feel like here we were at that little lunch spot and we're having some
Yes.
delicious coffee to keep us awake. The
Ah.
coffee in
yeah.
New Zealand, I remember right around here, I think we're looking out at the beach from our lunch spot, drinking that coffee. And I remember thinking, maybe we're not because I see a street, but I remember thinking, wow, the coffee here is way, way better than anything I'd had in the US to that point, which is
Yeah.
something I'd ever heard about
The
before.
coffee was good. I mean, the food was pretty good too. You know, we
Mhm.
this was a nice island. Oh, that's too far ahead. That was a nice. It was a really nice like start to the trip. Nothing Lord of the Rings about it. It was just something for us to do while we were waiting to be able to check in to our hotel at the time. And it was a fun way to pass the time. We got to get on a boat and see the skyline or see the city line of Auckland and have a nice lunch. And then we came in and we checked into our hotel, and that's when we met these guys. Who were? Do you remember this?
Yes.
Yeah, they were the Pakistani cricket team, right?
Or were they Sri Lankan?
I think they were both. No, they might have been playing the Sri Lankans. I'm not.
Well, we
100%.
don't we don't remember that. I think it was my gut says that we were next to the Sri Lankan
That was my gut.
I think they were
cricket team,
playing.
but I don't want to. I don't
No, we
want
could easily
to
be
say
wrong.
these people are from the
And
wrong
these,
country.
but
So,
basically we knew something was
being-
up when we checked in because these people were being treated like celebrities, and like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
room right across the hall from ours had like all this like merch and stuff, and all these people coming in and out with like bling, and they were like
Equipment
super,
bags too.
super cool, huge equipment bags.
Oh yeah.
And we were like, "What is this?" And we had to do a little research, and we found out that there's like a rugby tournament.
It was cricket.
Cricket.
Oh, cricket. Yeah, whatever.
There was also a rugby. I think the rugby. It's not the Silver Leafs, but it's the Silver Ferns. I don't know. That's their
I think
logo.
you're making that up.
No, the All
the
Blacks.
New Zealand.
All Blacks.
The New Zealand is
Blacks.
the silver.
Yes. No, they're the All Blacks, the New Zealand All Blacks, and they were definitely they had a competition at the same time. They weren't anything.
So that was
hotel.
cool. I had never seen a cricket match on TV before. I think this was my first time, and then to like also be staying at the same hotel as cricket players was cool. And I remember like a few days later in a different hotel in a different city, we finally got to watch that team
Yeah.
that we were staying with. They finally aired the match, and we were like, "Oh, cool! Like we're
Yeah.
those are those guys."
Yeah. Well, I remember too. We looked it up, and they were one of the maybe top 5 ranked cricket teams in the world.
Yeah.
So it was pretty strange
It
that
was
we were
pretty
staying
wild. Yeah,
next. It was
cool.
literally the room next to us too.
Yeah.
Well, they were on that entire like wing of the hotel.
Yeah.
They were, and we were just like a spare room that happened to be around all of these cricket players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even for us who we know nothing about cricket, we could tell something was down just because of
Yeah.
like the energy in the
Yeah.
hotel and all the like weird luggage and sports bags and things.
You can get that kind of from this picture. You can see that this guy is pretty excited to be shaking this other guy's hand.
Oh
and
yeah, I mean they were
it's
like
got the
rock
feel
stars.
of yeah.
It was very very cool. And
But
so,
everybody was chill about it. Nobody was.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I'd
you
say
know,
this is probably one of the nicest hotels we stayed at the whole trip.
Oh,
Like
it
the
was
other
definitely
ones
the
were like
The nicest, I would think.
yeah,
for
the
sure.
other ones we stayed at were very much like bed and breakfast type places,
Mhm.
but or like ski lodges in the off season. Because although it's January, it's summer there and winter in the States. So like we would stay at ski lodges and they were off season, so we got a pretty good discount there. But yeah, this was considered the shoulder season for visiting New Zealand actually, which ended up being good for us, I think.
Yeah, the temperature was great. I
Oh,
would
it was-
recommend going
It
in
was really
January,
great.
February.
We had good
Yeah.
weather pretty much the whole time. So that was day one. That was Auckland. And we pretty much just stayed there because that's where the airport was, and it was a big city. We were just happy to see it, but nothing Lord of the Rings there. This day is all Lord of the Rings all the time. It was pretty much us driving the 2.5 hours from our hotel in Auckland to Hobbiton, and that's what all these pictures are. This is a really cool area, and basically, if I remember correctly, it was a farm, and then Peter Jackson's team discovered the land and then built movie props on the land, and then the landowners kept it and converted it into like a tourist attraction. And you can go on a 2.5 hour long tour of this movie set. And when we were like prioritizing the list of things we wanted to do, it's like you have to go to the Shire. Like that was probably number one. So we were excited I was excited to get to see this right away. This was one of the best days of the whole trip for me.
Yeah,
I agree.
definitely. It was a lot of fun.
So like here's a video. So this was us like right when we started the trip. It's
Eric.
very short. But I mean, it was a nice day, a little
and me.
overcast. There's you, but yeah, it was just a cool.
That undercut was very in style at the time, for the record.
Yeah, it's still in style, man. Here's the wide shot. I don't know, but I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous.
It was gorgeous.
I mean, look just from my iPhone.
You are talking about my hair, right?
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Look at that edge, bro. Look at that edge. But
yeah, no, Hobbiton was gorgeous. This day though was overcast, as you're seeing.
It did rain a little bit, but we had no umbrellas or jackets or anything. We were totally fine.
Yeah.
And the sun did come out a little bit. Like, we were able to take some really nice pictures, but I mean, the little details, like having
this
little
looks like, I don't know, the orcs might be coming.
I mean, it was surreal to see it. It was super. It was like right from the movie. They barely, they do a good job upkeeping it for tours. Just to be able to walk on those trails and see the different sized hobbit holes and the different buildings, and the tour guides were very informative. It was super cool. I mean, and it goes on too. It's big.
Yeah,
it's
this
like
is
a
a great
whole
shot.
complex, and there's people tending to the crops and everything, and like the flowers. It was really a lot of fun, and you pretty much have to go if you're going to New Zealand as a Lord of the Rings fan.
If I remember, it was the only thing that was out of the way. I think we went more north to Hobbiton, right? And we had to double back down past Auckland.
We were going south the whole time, but we did have to go like a weird, like, I forget, like, we did have to go a little askew, but I mean, there's there's nothing else in that area, right?
Right,
so it's like,
right.
You have to drive 2 hours out of Auckland into a rural town to do this tour, and then you're not around anything. So we had to drive another hour to get to the hotel we were staying at that was closer to Rotorua. It was in Rotorua, which was, again, it's like, it was too far to, and we'll get into that later, but logistically, yeah, we had to stop at a couple places to be able to accommodate everything. But up there's Derek with his little tease over the shoulder.
You could have deleted that picture.
It was good, man. So anyway,
it's weird.
I can't tell if these are videos or not. I don't think they are. Okay, but yeah, just super, super gorgeous. And they had like little touches, like little ladders and short trees, and we took a ton of pictures this day. I think this day has the most pictures of there's me. Looking good. Who put that in there?
Charles.
I think that's on the brochure.
I still do have my brochure. It's in my binder, my master binder.
That's nice.
This was the tree they mentioned in the tour that when Peter Jackson's team was scouting for filming locations, it was that tree by the pond that drew the guy. He was driving on a helicopter just over New Zealand, and that tree and that pond were what he noticed, and like that's basically how he scouted this land to become the Shire. So very cool. They still have some sheep, as you can see. And this is another one of Derek's famous panorama shots. Got to print one of these one day. It's like a wallpaper.
Yeah.
But there's the tree again. So very cool stuff going on here. We have a ton of these nature shots.
Starting to get a little nicer out too.
Yeah, the weather gets a little better at one point, and we're gonna get into. I put all the Hobbit holes in one
section.
One section. This was just a cool prop that they left out. Yeah. They did have like a whole bar with the Green Dragon where they served pretty good drinks and things. And
yeah, you got
pictures of us there. That's literally the background on my phone still.
Oh yeah,
is the three of
we're
us.
getting there. I think that's the end of this.
We also got a cup of mead when we went to the bar.
We did. Yeah, I think every tour gets you a free drink at the end. You know, it's part of the price of the tour.
Ooh, that's a great shot. I feel like that one should hit social media.
That is a great way to introduce Derek to the world. Yeah. Or do you want to do the black and white version?
Oh, I forgot about that one.
I do like the filter version better, but the black and white version's like
this is
just some other cool stuff that was here. How'd that get back in?
It's gonna show up 5 more times.
Charles, I took these. There's pictures of Charles. Oh, did you get rid of some of those? There's
I
one
don't
where
think so.
you look like you're dancing.
That's in here. That's in here. So
here's
we
me
loved
at
one
the
of these
sign.
signs for whatever reason. So like, there's
It's
us.
because it's just a cool sign.
They had a
It
lot of
says-
cool signs.
Green Dragon one way, Hobbiton the other way. For the listeners who can't see any of these pictures,
Yeah.
this
So,
this is working for you.
but it's in those cool.
Go to the YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in that cool, Tolkien language. It's all branded and cool. So a bunch of cool signs. It's like almost like the hobbits could pop out. So now we're beginning the Hobbit hole section of the montage. So they had a couple different ones, and some of them were scaled so that like would be like a wizard walking by, and the other ones were scaled to be more hobbit size. And I think
walk past it. Just pretend you're Gandalf. Go. I'm too far. I'm too close.
Anyway, so this is one of those. Oh wait,
I said put a Derek in there for
Yeah.
scale.
Total Gandalf right now.
That's
totally.
a New Zealand unit of measurement.
Yeah.
A Derek.
A Derek, yeah.
That was like 3/4 a Derek. That Hobbit hole, and that would be one that Gandalf would walk by, so you could see. Oh, he's so tall compared to these places that the hobbits live.
Right.
And
then they had ones for like Frodo and to be in front of, where it was more scaled to be like this one.
That was
here.
probably like 2 Dereks.
Yeah. So
If I remember correctly, the yellow door is Sam's house.
I think
remember.
you're right.
you are correct, and this is Bag End right here. Which
Wait, go back. There's a picture.
I don't
This
think we were
also
supposed
might
to
need
go
to
in
hit
there.
social media. You're not supposed to go in the Hobbit holes. And there's a smirking Derek just peeking out the window.
I'm sending this to the New Zealand government.
Yeah.
No. I'll pay him off with a couple of Zeelies we have left.
What was
Yeah,
it like in
Zeelies.
there, Derek?
It was just dirt. There's nothing in there at all. Because so what they did, they explained on the tour, they would enter, the doors only open that much, and then they would cut to the set where they would show the inside of the door opening up. If you look in the movies, you never see really the inside of the Hobbit hole.
I think for
from
Bag End,
outside.
they did design like the foyer because it does kind of
just
peek
a
in a
little
little bit. But there was the actual
they're empty.
inside
They're-
was a
yeah.
different set.
Yeah, they're empty inside.
Yeah, and this was Sam's house. You were saying the yellow door.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a good picture.
Yeah, we got some good Hobbit hole pictures taken. Oh, there's me. And I wasn't brave enough to go inside.
Yeah, that's the one Derek went in, right?
But you can
Yeah, I think
see
so,
how much
from the window.
smaller that is. But this is Derek's Hobbit hole. And there's Sam's again. That's just a generic Hobbit hole. Here's me besides a more
Yeah. So you see Charles.
Hobbit size one.
He's about Bigfoot sized, and even he is dwarfed by this Hobbit hole, or hobbited, if you will.
Indeed. And there's you, Dylan. You're looking good.
Yeah.
Derek as well.
Thanks.
So you can kind of see the scale of it. There's me again. There's Bag End again. Oh, there's the one.
There it is. There's the one where you're doing the jig.
I don't remember this.
And that's Charles looking gigantic in front of one of the Gandalf Hobbit holes.
You mean one of the Hobbit holes, not Gandalf ones, right?
Well, the
Well,
Gandalf.
that was for
Oh,
Gandalf's
oh,
skin.
now we're
yeah,
over
they looked big. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
definitely looking like a wizard.
The ones that they'd put Gandalf in front of to make him look big. And Charles already, like we said. Big.
Right, and look at just like how cool the grass was able to grow over the. I mean, it's just such a cool thing. Oh. Get used to that face, people. It's in a lot of pictures.
Yeah, so Charles, this probably will not surprise any of our longtime listeners or friends of friends, as we call them, that Charles's pictures, where there are people in them, are all basically me and Derek. So that's why if you're watching these YouTube videos, you're seeing a lot of pictures of me and Derek doing stuff. It's not that we all dislike Charles.
Well,
Yeah. Well, Derek, I know that you're new to the podcast name, but we like to pretend that we like Charles.
Oh.
on the podcast.
you
So-
can, that's in post. You can take
What?
that.
Yeah, so you'll see that Charles's pictures or videos are me and Derek doing stuff. And then there's also a lot of selfies of me, which means that my pictures are always like, I need to get me here.
There
And
are
there's one
only
in
a
front of
few
Sam's
of
house.
like there is the rare occasion of me and Dylan in a photo. It only happens a couple times, and you'll see them as they come up. But
So
like
those
when
would
I was
be
building
my
the
photos.
website, I was like, "There's got to be a picture of me and Dylan in New Zealand somewhere," and there really wasn't. It was like the three of us, and then it was Derek and Dylan. The only. So I was like, okay, well.
Well, there's the helicopter one, right? I think that's on our website.
Yeah, the
that I
helicopter is
took,
one
but
of
it's
the
also
examples,
a
right.
selfie. It just happens that both Derek and Charles are behind me.
And there's also the one my selfie when we were sitting next to each
Oh,
other. in
yeah,
the
you're right.
helicopter, which we'll get to. But more of the there's me knocking,
Oh, Charles, you
arriving
thinking about going in there?
precisely on time. You know, never late. And let's see. So that's a lot of hobbit holes. So
We were obsessed with Sam's house.
Which it was one of the best decorated
There we go.
besides Bilbo's.
There we go. That's the hero shot. There were those rare moments where we got someone to take pictures for us of the group.
So that's the one that's like designed on the tour to allow people to go in. There's one.
Yeah.
And this is the one, which
right.
is
They do not allow you to go anywhere near Bag End.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah, it was fair. And there's Dylan.
That's actually my phone background. That picture right there.
Oh.
This one? I mean,
No.
This one?
That one. Yeah, I
Of
love
you?
that picture. No, not of me, just the Bag End.
Oh, okay, this one.
Yeah, with the no admittance.
Yeah,
That's
nice.
a great picture. I love that one.
That's a great picture. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, they did such a great job staging it, and it's like it was for me being such a huge fan of the movies.
That's
There we
my
go.
phone
Hey!
background.
For
That's
me,
my
being
phone
such a
That's a
fan
good
of the
one.
movies, it was kind of a surreal thing to be there, where you can exactly where what frames in the movie the actors were at that time, and it was just so cool to be there. And
Charles,
then-
please make this the episode photo.
yes. Sure, of course.
I think this sums it up.
So this was us at the Green Dragon. That was a fun
Yep.
experience. I wish we could have stayed there longer.
I know.
had more drinks, get properly schwasty there. But
Right, and then drive 2.5 hours.
Yeah, exactly. We had our one drink. But
The FTF podcast does not endorse drinking and driving for all listeners.
no, not even a
As
little
shown
bit.
in the Green Dragon.
So
But
this is
one
more
drink.
of the Green Dragon. You can see some of the cool wood designs here.
Yeah, it was beautifully done.
It was gorgeous. It was dark in there, but it was so awesome. They had a fire going. Just super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool to be in there.
I do wish we could have.
I doubt they
Hung
filmed
out
anything.
longer.
What they do is they rent it out. You could have your wedding there. You know, you could have your wedding at the Green Dragon, and then get married out in the fields there, where they had all those tents and props and things. But yeah, this was just a surreal day to be there.
Oh,
to
didn't
see
they have
that.
food?
They did. We had ice cream.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I just see the lady over there with something. I don't remember what
I
they
think
served.
she was handing out drinks, and then they had food as well.
Yeah.
But the description says the tour was 2 hours long, and then you end at the Green Dragon, where you'll be given a complimentary beverage from the South Farthing Range, which I guess is the brand that makes.
Oh, Charles, the ice cream we bought. The ice cream.
Yes.
It wasn't in the Green Dragon, I don't think.
No, but at Shire's Rest, we have a cafe, gift shop, and kiosk where you can purchase delicious
Kiosk.
ice cream. That was in the description. So when we got
The
there, we were
phrase
like, we need the
delicious.
delicious ice cream.
Yeah. Yeah,
If I
it was like
remember,
that.
it was actually really good, wasn't it?
It was great.
Because it
No,
was
a
like homemade
specific
from the
flavor,
cows
right?
next
It
door.
had
Yeah.
a name. It was the Hobbit whatever.
Yeah.
And it had just a
Whatever
lot
it
of stuff in
was, it was actually really good. I think we were kind of making a bit of a mockery out of the fact that it was advertised as delicious ice cream.
Right.
And we
it was
asked
funny because
for
we had planned
delicious
this
ice
trip,
cream.
right? We were hyping ourselves up for this trip for a month. And we fly across the world, and we're in New Zealand, and we're like, we're here for that delicious ice cream.
Yeah, it was like a point that we kept bringing up. It's like, well, we got to go to Hobbiton for that delicious ice
I'm
cream.
sad there's no pictures,
But-
but it was delicious.
We ate our words along with some
Yeah.
delicious ice cream.
Yeah, it was like fresh ice cream.
It was so
The
good.
ice
local
cream
farm.
game in New Zealand was on point. Throughout
Yeah.
the whole trip, we had every time we had ice cream, it was amazing. So that Does anyone have anything they want to say about Hobbiton before we move on to day 3?
Let's keep rolling. We're going to Rotorua.
Yeah, in
Ro-
retrospect, Rotura or
Yeah,
Rotorua,
Rotorua, not Rotorua.
Yeah, I think.
Oh no, the locals will back me up here.
Oh, okay.
But
I'm sorry, Rotorua.
in retrospect, this was one of the most relaxing, nice places I've ever been. And I always thought after this trip, like if I ever was like insanely wealthy, I would have like a getaway home here in Rotorua, just hidden in one of the woods, and then I would just go and chill in the spa every day. Not a
Yeah,
bad
that
way
was
to
a
live.
great time.
This was great. And this was kind of on our trip almost out of like we just needed a place to stop between Hobbiton and Mount Doom. There's nothing you can really do Lord of the Rings between those two spots. And it was like, a 4-hour drive, and it's like, well, let's break it up by stopping in a new town and experiencing something more New Zealandy and less Lord of the Ringsy, and
It happened to be my favorite city, I think.
I was just going to say that it's
yes.
one of the things that I think back to and really remember having a good time there.
Yes.
I think we also spent a day and a half there instead of just in and out, right?
Right, because I mean, when we got to the tour, right, and it's only a 2-hour tour, so when you leave, you still have the whole day ahead of you, right?
The tour of the thermal wonderland you're referring to,
No,
Charles?
also like of Hobbiton, because you tour Hobbiton
tour.
and then you're like, okay, well, this day's over now because like we're
Yeah.
done here. We did the tour. We can't just chill in the Green Dragon, so we may as well just go. And so we did get to spend a good amount of time in Rotorua, and I would agree with Derek. This was such an amazing, fun, like low key place. I was like, I would come back here if it wasn't like so remote in its location. It's like if you go there, you're kind of remote, but I wouldn't mind. It would be so chill. You'd like go to hike the woods, and then chill in the spa, and then hit Restaurant Row, and wouldn't be a bad
that was
life.
there?
I
think
remember
Restaurant Row was here, right?
It might have been.
I feel like the biggest restaurant scene was you said Queenstown and Queensland, and now I can't remember which it actually is called. I feel like it's Queenstown.
It is Queenstown. It's Queenstown.
You know it's gonna pop up on the video.
No, I didn't know that.
Let's see the pics, Chaz.
I was trying to be subtle.
I love Derek coming in and being like, "Come on, guys, we got a podcast here. We got to keep it moving."
So the first thing
I'm just worried about those YouTube guys.
For sure. Well, what's unique about Rotorua is it's on like it's basically like what they call it, like a thermal wonderland. There's just tons of like hot springs, just chilling casually throughout the whole city. This is a park. This is what did we call it? Waiotapu Thermal Wonderland. So this was just a cool area.
No, they're not. We just read the thing, Dylan.
God damn it, Dylan! What were you doing?
We just read the
something
thing,
ridiculous.
Dylan.
Don't worry, I'm arguing.
But
so just the color of, and this, you got, if you're not on the YouTube or whatever, then at least Google these springs, the colors of these things, because they have all sorts of minerals like sulfur and all sorts of stuff that I can't remember. They take on these yellow and green colors that do not look like anything that you'd expect to see in nature from water, but they're natural. It's so interesting.
It was really cool. I've only seen that one other time in Yellowstone. They called it the Grand Prismatic Stream or whatever, and it looks like one of these, but this one is got just a ton of them in such a short area, and that's what like blows my mind about New Zealand every time I think about it. It's such a small place, has such a small footprint, but the amount of different like settings and scenery that they cram into that little footprint is absolutely insane. And this was definitely one of the more like vibrant and colorful. I'll also say when you get out of the car after driving from Hobbiton to Rotorua, the first thing you will notice is the smell.
Yes.
The
It smells like
whole city
sulfur.
smells like sulfur.
You get used to it though. It wasn't like it lingers, but it's not like something you're totally thinking about the entire time, and it
Right,
messes up the
exactly.
trip
I mean,
or
look at these
anything.
beautiful colors, like
Yeah.
bright reds and then like aqua blues and turquoise greens, and then you just get in the parking lot
And muck gray.
Yeah, well,
in muck
if
gray.
the muck-looking ones you remember were just around the town that were fenced off, like don't fall into it because it's boiling water, and that's just
yeah.
around the town. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Look at that green.
This
Yeah.
one was so
Like a
crazy. It looked like you could walk across
laser
it.
yellow
It was
almost,
so bright
actually.
green.
It's like,
It was crazy. It had a name like the Devil's Bath or something like that. But look at
dude.
it. It was so cool.
This is another selfie. When I could have been probably taking a picture of my two friends enjoying it, I was like, everyone's gotta see Dylan.
So yeah, this was just a cool. Oh, that is not Rotorua. Don't know
No.
why that was there. There's
No, I think it is.
this is
Oh, that one's
That
out
looks
of
like-
place. Yeah,
that's
Mount
Mount
Doom.
Doom. That's descending.
that's on the way. Yeah, on the way
Yeah.
down.
Here's
That's
the
snuck in there.
geyser we went to. It was very cool. I have pictures of that.
Look at the steam rising off that.
I know it was so
Yeah.
hot. Like those pools are boiling. It's pretty wild.
That one was bubbling.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
look at you, Derek.
Look at all this.
Nature.
Yeah. There is some good pictures that I do want to have a conversation about when we get there. That's at the end of this day. But here's the
Oh,
geyser.
is this my video though, Charles?
I don't think I have your
I-
video.
Oh, I took a video of the geyser going off. It's actually, I captured the whole thing.
You did not send it to me, but if you text it to me, I might be able to pull it up. But yeah, the geyser was cool. It was fun. Okay.
Oh,
this
we
picture.
have to
Look
talk
at that.
about
Oh, this
Yeah.
guy.
It's Donnie.
You remember his name? Or you just gave him
We
a
did-
name?
We gave him a name.
I don't remember.
So we
He looks like a Donnie. Just to be
we
honest.
said that he was the fourth member of the M crew. So there's this picture that we got photobombed. It's one of the pictures of all three of us. Someone took it for us. Actually, like a very nice picture. If you take out the fact that there's this fourth person in the background with this like ridiculous smirk on his face, that you'd
He's definitely
think
like
was
it's a trolling photobomb for
Oh,
sure.
yeah. You'd think that he was one of our friends if you just saw this picture. You'd be like, the big
Yeah.
four. So
It's a beautiful photobomb.
it's Derek and Donnie.
I still talk to him.
Yeah. So yeah, look at this
No.
picture. If you can see it on the YouTube, it's just you would think these are two buddies
Yeah.
went to New Zealand together, having a great time.
I mean, the goal that he got in
There's
so
one.
fast and close. Like,
Even
it
though
was a
this
very
person
good
got their
photobomb.
finger in it.
We
It
got
was an
one
epic
without him.
photobomb for sure.
Yeah.
And then this picture,
You can see him thinking it over in this picture.
Well, I was saying like
We're going
there's
in reverse.
There's
Yeah.
this picture that pops up on Reddit like every 3 or 4 months of the Beatles getting ready to cross Abbey Road. And where it's just like the moment before greatness would always be like the title, and it's a picture of them like on one end of the sidewalk, like checking their
Yeah.
clothes and everything.
Mhm.
That's basically what this is. This is moments before greatness.
Yeah.
Where
For Donnie
we get
especially.
the great Donnie
Oh, it was his
photobomb.
greatest moment, not
Yeah.
ours. I love that.
So that was there. Okay, I think this
Oh,
is the
video.
beginning of this here. So I mean, everywhere you went, you just felt like you had to stop and take a picture of the scenery because
What am I
you're in a place and
pointing
you're
at
like,
for?
it's too gorgeous to not snap a picture. They're
Derek,
getting away.
way to wear a Yankee shirt.
Made it kind of fun.
That was the thing. He did wear a New York
the
Yankees
most-
shirt.
Yeah. Pretty
Okay,
touristy move.
So, but it's not a touristy move. I'm a very big Yankee fan. If viewers can see me, I don't know what we're doing. I have a lot of Yankee paraphernalia up.
Yeah, it's just
And it's a
of
very
course
comfy
the guy
t-shirt.
from New York is wearing a Yankee shirt.
Yeah, I wonder
Of course,
who
the
the
guy
American
from New York
tourist
has an
is.
undercut.
Hey, they probably were impressed with how in style I was.
That's fair.
So this is
I was
the
ahead of the
forest that
curve.
we were in, and I'm gonna butcher the name of it. Wakariwa Wow, forest. It's
Sounds
Big
good.
effort.
nailed it. Where this was a cool
Apologies.
forest where they took trees from all over the world and planted them here. So you had a variety of trees from all over the world. Like it was insane to see it. One moment you were in like the tropics, one moment you were in like the California redwoods. It was super cool. And
Classic
thing
me and
about-
Derek hanging out, Charles in the background.
We paid him to videotape us everywhere.
I mean, here's a shot from the redwoods that they
Yeah.
had. It was just super cool, and like there were people who were like walking their dogs or just going on their day hikes or whatever. And I was thinking, like, how cool would it be to live
was
nearby
beautiful, yeah.
and just be able to like go on your daily hike here. This was
And the redwoods were baby redwoods. That's the thing. They're only,
Right.
70 years old compared to the ones in California, which
Right.
are, who knows, 10 times that.
right,
Very cool.
which I'd never seen, but these were
Yeah.
cool. So I can only imagine what
They
those
were
are like.
cool.
And this is like a transparent pond that
Minerally,
was like
yeah.
really cool. Also, and you could see like weird palm trees and things in this like. Just a cool...
I remember when we were on this hike, I feel like this one we'd see people going for a jog
Yes.
in the forest, and that started to put some of these thoughts in my head about how cool it would be to just live here. It's like, oh, I think I'll go for a
I
run.
just
It's
said
like,
that. Yeah, I agree 100%.
In one of the most beautiful hiking areas I've ever seen.
Gorgeous. I mean, look at how many like going back. Look how many like different trees there are, and this was
Yeah.
so tall. Like a person would be a blip on the ground.
I think we have one with
Yeah,
me.
do we
do
have a
have
Derek
one-
for scale?
We do.
We
I
do.
think.
Yeah, we do. That one.
No, but
it's
there's
not this
more.
one. There's another one.
Yeah.
There's another one.
I think that became a thing. We
That
just
was a
started
thing
using
that we
it.
kept saying.
There's you in the redwoods.
Here's a Derek for scale.
This is another shot of the redwoods with semi better lighting.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just a cool place.
It
to
also
be.
smelt just really good in that forest.
I guess I don't have the Derek for scale picture, but he
Yeah.
was like a little blip in the thing. This is just a random park. Like you would take your children to play in the park, and like you can see all the mist from the sulfur from the thermal pools. And then here's some of the pictures. Like there's like the swings, right? It's a playground, and then you'll just walk and be like, oh, don't step in there. That's a boiling pool of sulfur water. You don't want to step in. It was wild. And this was right outside the park, It was super cool. It's like all the diversity of life just in your day-to-day life. Like, oh, take the kids for the park, and then maybe I'll walk by that thermal pool.
Yeah, and we were just doing something before dinner. This was not a destination park.
That is
it just
Queens.
happened to
That's
be a
Yeah,
Queenstown.
we're
park.
just
I don't know
killing
why that's there. But
Yeah.
no, it was. That was like New Zealand in a nutshell. You just be somewhere and be like, this feels like a vacation spot, but people like live here. It's so wild to see that. Can't imagine what it would be like to be surrounded by this natural beauty every
Yep.
single day.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is that I remember on one of the ferries, we saw the beach. Oh,
It's just that's just chilling right by your swing.
Yeah.
but-
Just gurgling.
I remember we saw on one of the ferries, one side was a beach, one side was
Yeah.
snow-capped mountains, the other side was a forest, and I don't remember if there was like a desert, maybe it was part of the beach, but I mean, you could just turn your head and see different.
Yeah, I mean, we were in
remember climate
forest,
is very cool.
beach, mountains. We were in it all, and in such a small footprint.
That's the thing that most stuck
Oh.
out to me was that you could look north, south, east, and west and see a different terrain
Yeah, it was
in
very
each
cool.
direction. I
Very,
mean,
very cool.
There might be a shot of that later, another panorama of that, because it was too cool to not take a picture
So
of.
this is one of my favorite moments of the trip was when we went to the spa. And I
Yes.
remember we had like a little back and forth if we should go to the nice one or the cheap
remember
one.
that.
I'm so glad we went to the
It
nice
was,
one.
it was so worth it. That spot was awesome.
It wasn't even that much more money. It was like, 40 more New Zealand dollars,
Yeah.
and you would get a towel and a shower, and it was like
Mhm.
all done up. Totally worth it. I mean, this is one of the pool. So this was one where they like took mineral waters from all over Rotorua and made these different thermal pools for you to just kind of lounge in. And I mean, you can see right like in this picture for all you YouTube watchers, where like the pool was right on the edge, and then you could look out and see like the river or the ocean or whatever that was. It was so gorgeous. It was such a cool spot to be. It was almost like chilling in. And, hey, one of the
Oh,
few
look at us.
pictures of the two of us.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
did
a
not
little
bring my
too
phone. Derek was the only
scandalous
one that
for
brought
the
his
website.
Yes, exactly. I was like,
But
I'm not going to
We're
put this one in.
shirtless.
Yeah. I'm not wearing my sunglasses on that one.
You're not in this one. Derek was the only one that brought his phone out into the thermal pools. So
It was
Look at
worth
that
it.
view, though. Yeah,
It was
it's so
gorgeous.
incredible
It
that
was
we would be able to just look out
amazing.
at that view while
Oh,
we were chilling in that.
But I loved this, and this
Uh,
was another reason why I would easily just spend
Yep.
a week in Rotorua, just like hike those trails and lounge in the pools and overlook the ocean or whatever that is, what body of water that is, the
It was a
lake,
lake,
whatever it
yeah.
is. And
I remember a conversation, Charles, that we were thinking we were wishing that we got to go to the spa after going to Mount Doom
100%.
because we were so sore from Mount Doom.
We were even sitting there being like, we're going on a 10-hour hike tomorrow. I wish we could have done this in reverse, but the fact that this is way more north than Tarongi is, 2 hours drive north, it just couldn't be. So we were kind of just lamenting that we couldn't do this after our hike, but that does bring us into that fateful day. We'll probably cut to the next episode here at this point. We're about an hour
I think so.
in, but
Sorry if you heard my tease at the start of this episode and listened to us talk about pictures you couldn't see for an hour and are now getting cut without the story I said you'd hear.
But you
But
are not
tune in
going to
next
want to
week.
miss this one. This is a great way to start the next episode, I think, is to go into Mount Doom. So we're going to keep the conversation going, but ta-ta for now, and we'll see you next week. Hello everyone, Future Charles here. Just wanted to say thank you for listening to this exciting storytime episode of the Friends Talking Fantasy podcast. It's a little unusual, it's a little different, but we hope you like it. We had a lot of fun recording it. So if you like this, be sure to check in next week when we pick up right where we left off on our epic journey through Middle-earth and the beautiful, beautiful country of New Zealand. Thank you everyone for listening, and as always, go forth and conquer, friends.